Hi everyone, welcome back to FUNDAY Chat. I am Wade.
Hi everyone, I'm Max.
This is Max. So today we're just going to be talking to Max about some of his role here at FUNDAY, and we're going to get to know Max a little bit better. And then we'd love to know, some of your learning journey and your experiences, and that way we can sort of like hopefully give some insights to our viewers as well.
No problem.
I'm personally not a teacher at FUNDAY, even though I think a lot of people like maybe they think like I'm a teacher. I just present, these content, but I know like for teachers, obviously, you get to know your students and maybe you teach a particular class, and so people can know what to expect.
Yeah.
But for you guys have to like go into the dark and like figure out like, like what are they saying wrong? What's their struggles? And
so usually we have to ask them like a lot of questions, and as you can imagine, they give us answers, like different answers every time, and we have to try to find some mistakes that they tend to make when they speak English.
Right.
Based like just according to their answers.
Right. Yeah. So tell me, what are some of the most common mistakes you have found? Because how long have you been with FUNDAY now?
I've been working here for, I guess, more than 5 years.
5? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Quite an expert.
I think so.
Okay. So yeah, in your 5 years, what have you found to be sort of the most common mistakes you find among students?
Well, I would say students, they would say, for example, we usually ask them why they want to learn English, right? And
right.
They would say, I want to promote my English skills.
Oh.
That's a word that you don't usually use with like, you would say improve your English skills or make your English skills better.
Yeah.
Or,
so it's a bit of a Chinglish situation going on.
Yeah, and they will also say something, I want to like conversation with, they would say, I want to conversation with foreigners.
Hold up. Foreigners. So
basically,
so 外国人. What is that?
I don't know. So maybe you can just say you want to have English conversations with people from other countries.
Okay,
because I think sometimes when you say, if you keep using the word foreigner, it's kind of, to me, I think sometimes it's rude.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say like people from other countries, or maybe work with engineers from other countries.
Right.
Something.
Okay.
So I think these are two common mistakes students tend to make.
Yeah.
Well, a student just made the mistake like the other day. So.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I think learning, if I look back at my, younger days, when things were just like, very hard, like very complicated, and like when it's not done in a fun way, I don't know, maybe that's why we call it FUNDAY.
Yeah.
But I feel like, when you're just trying to 死背, like just memorize, it doesn't become practical.
Right, that's true.
And I think that's what I've found actually happens with a lot of Taiwanese learners, is that they're so good at memorization.
Yeah.
Like they can probably beat me at like spelling stuff and like knowing, structure stuff, because they can figure out all, but that's all like memorization. Yeah. But when it comes to like actually applying it or speaking it, then you encounter something else.
They are really good at, most Taiwanese students are really good at taking exams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can get like really good scores on the exams. But like 文法, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are like some verb tenses. We say like 现在进行式or everything.
Yeah.
And most Taiwanese students know what verb tenses are.
Okay.
But if you want them to use the correct verb tenses in speaking, it's quite challenging.
Yeah.
Usually we just give them like a scenario where they can practice like a certain verb tense.
Okay.
So they can, so this is how
you apply
guys,
it.
Yeah,
utilize.
teach us here.
Makes sense. All right. So talking about, obviously you've been teaching now for 5 years.
Yes.
I'm quite interested to know, how about you? How did you get to where you are now? Were you born and bred in Taiwan? Did you go overseas? What's your story?
I was born in Taiwan, and I didn't go overseas until I was 18 years old.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Wow.
So I learned...
Where did you go when you were 18?
Boston.
Boston to
Yeah,
the
Boston.
States?
Yeah, the States.
Was that like an exchange program or just?
Yeah, it's an exchange program.
Okay.
No, I think it's just like summer school program or
okay.
something. Yeah. So I went there for 2 months. Yeah. But before that, I didn't go abroad.
Yeah, you were just Taiwan?
Yeah.
So Taiwan's English education,
Yeah,
everything.
That's true.
Okay. And what was that like? Were you good at English or not so much?
I guess when I was like in high school, there was this teacher from the States.
Okay.
And he always encouraged us to kind of to speak.
Okay.
And like he always said something like, just forget about grammar. Just say whatever you want to say.
Okay.
And
so
then,
make the mistakes, right?
Yeah, make the mistakes. And for example, when I made some mistakes, he would tell me, okay, so you could say, for example, if I say, I am writing my homework, something like a sentence like this. And he would say, in English, we say, I am doing my homework.
Right.
Yeah. So through this process, you know how to use words or grammar correctly.
Yeah. Because I think, again, like we mentioned, many maybe students, they tend to be fearful to speak out.
Right.
Again, they have it all up here, but they're scared to actually put it into practice.
That's true.
Because I also have many friends, you know, that I try to have English conversations with them time to time again, but they're like, nope, we're not even going to try it. They just like reply to me in Mandarin. And I'm like, well, if you want to learn, you definitely have to make the mistake.
Yeah, you have to make mistakes. I think that's the point.
Yeah. So tell me, was English like a part of your life from a young age, or did you enjoy it later on?
I started to learn English when I was 7.
7?
Yeah, 7 years old.
Wow.
And I don't know, like somehow I just fell in love with the language.
Okay.
And then I told my parents, said, okay, so I want to be an English teacher.
At age 7?
Like 8 years old.
8?
So now I'm currently following that career path.
Wow. So you knew from like the get-go, like,
yeah, I can't remember why I fell in love with this language.
Yeah.
Maybe because of the teacher.
Okay. Yeah. I think teachers for sure play a huge role. Yeah, and I really appreciate the teachers who sort of like they identify, you know, the passion of a child, and then they kind of like add fuel, and then they allow the child to sort of blossom. Because there's many times, like maybe you're a little more shy, maybe you're scared to, try, but you're interested in the subject. And I think many times, maybe the school environment, peer pressure, you're afraid to actually go for it. And then sometimes it gets like, put aside, and then, you just don't touch it anymore.
Sometimes if you want to do something and maybe your people around you say, oh, maybe that's not a good idea. Or
Right.
So
it's cool. It's so important.
It's really important.
For sure. So grateful for teachers like you guys and like good teachers.
We're still in touch, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's a very good example.
Yeah.
That's great. Besides the English learning part, what would you say are some of your hobbies?
Well, I really like cooking.
Cooking?
Yeah.
Why cooking?
I like cooking. It's so, after you finish a class, like for me, when I finish a class, I don't want to talk.
Okay.
Yeah, back then I wanted to find to explore an interest that doesn't require me to talk.
Yeah. Do you think you're more of an extrovert or introvert?
I think kind of something in between.
Okay.
Yeah. I can pretend to be an extrovert.
Okay. Yeah. I think teachers kind of have to be, right? They have to be very entertaining, engaging. Yeah. You have to have the camera on, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have like put on your best face.
That's
and so
true.
like people have to be engaged.
Yes, that's true.
And I'm sure there's time where you're like done and you're like,
that's like professional side of me.
Can relax now.
When I turn off my camera, I say, okay, I'm done. I don't want to talk today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you turn to cooking.
Yeah.
Because is that just more like hands-on and you don't have to, I guess, interact with other people?
I don't have to interact with humans.
All right. So tell us about your cooking journey.
Well, I wasn't really good at cooking in the beginning.
Okay.
I think I made a dish that tasted terrible.
Okay.
But I'm that kind of person who likes to challenge myself. So after that experience, I decided to learn cooking.
Okay.
And I just I refer to some recipes. There are some steps you can follow.
Yeah.
And I also asked my parents' help.
Okay.
They're really good at cooking.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
nice.
So now I would say I'm pretty good at cooking now.
What's your 最拿手的一道菜?
It's something like 狮子头, it's like 牛奶炖猪肉, and I have to make the meatballs by myself. Yeah.
Oh, dude, for me, I love just like a bowl of rice and good meat. Yeah. Like I recently went to Japan and we went for sauro. And honestly, like just good rice and then the meat and then you douse it in raw egg.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
that
everything.
bite, everything. So good.
That's true.
Yeah. So the cooking aspect, was it a challenging thing to learn? Like you have to try many times, different recipes, like...
Yeah, it was quite challenging back then. But I think if you want to like master a skill,
Yes.
you definitely need to spend time, and you need to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put in the hours.
Yeah. So I practiced back then. I practiced like cooking like every weekend.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. With my parents. Yeah. And then, so yeah, I think if you wanna, for example, if you wanna learn English, you need time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
takes time to master a language.
They say like to master a skill, it takes like what, 10,000 hours?
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And so I think like with your cooking, you probably put in the time.
Yeah.
And so that's why now you're good.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing can be applied to learning English or actually anything in life, right? When
actually.
it comes to learning, it really takes time to put in. And I think it's very important to, besides putting in the time, like be willing to be an amateur. Because I think I struggle with that. Sometimes like I want to be good at everything. So it's hard to make that mistake at first. It's hard to, admit that I don't know, like I want to be an expert already, when people are talking to me about this and that. And so I think you have to first be the fool.
That's true.
And then as you learn on, because I know we're not saying like fool, like be silly, like not like that, but be a fool in that like you're willing to admit that you don't know, so then at first you would probably, when you don't know, then you would ask questions.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing because as you ask questions, you will learn.
I think the most important thing is that you should ask questions. You need to ask questions when you start to learn something. I think that's the point.
Yeah. That's great. So, well, we thank you for your time today.
No problem.
And hopefully there's a lot of insight for you to take away for your other students.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
we'll see you again next time.
Yeah, see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.